Hi all, thought I'd have another game. Okay, 2-3-4-2. I think time for a different opening. I'm probably going to get murdered here. 2-3-4-2. Okay. Okay, I think E3 is a bad idea. So just play H3 here. And maybe D3 now. Stop bishop E4. So I'm reserving unusual starts openings just to avoid opening 3. I could have done bishop takes D5 there. Maybe. Oh dear. Uh-oh. That would have been a nice opportunity. Okay. Alright, so what about E4 here? Is that terrible? Or just knight F3. Maybe knight F3. Allow black to exchange off the rooks. Maybe I can try and castle queenside. But I wonder if my G4 pawn is going to be a target here. HG, HG. Rook H1, bishop H1, knight F6. If I play G5, maybe knight H7. So I've got some problems there. What about G5 though here, and then maybe even H4. So H4 now. I know weaknesses are being provoked, but maybe I can kick that knight again with E4, which is often the logical move. I think my opponent is confused a bit with the opening. I don't think they're that comfortable with it. So is E4 handy here? I'm glad this bishop is tied at the moment because that bishop on B2. No, it's not actually. Knight F5. Alright, so if the bishop moves, then E4 and then bishop G7. So that might be an interesting thing to keep hold of here. But A3, Queen C7. But if E4 straight away, hold on. E4 straight away. What's wrong with E4 straight away? Or if I just Queen E2 and try and castle queenside? Seems quite logical. Let's not wait for this bishop. It's a bit trappy because I think Queen C7 castles queenside. So now just Queen E2. Okay, so if I can manage to castle queenside here, this will be interesting. Say Queen C7, castles queenside. I think black's position is very solid. I'm not sure what I'm doing here. Should I take with the pawn? I think so, to keep control of that F5 square to stop knight F5s. Alright, I can't castle queenside now because I'll drop the A2 pawn. If A3 maybe... I think A3, yeah. To then try and castle queenside because the bishop at the moment is stuck behind that knight. So if I can castle, then knight C4 is going to be good. Maybe. Knight takes C4, Queen C4. Knight B6, Queen E2. Yeah, I think if I can castle queenside, I should be okay here. In fact, actually, knight takes E4 is probably what my opponent's calculating. I've just realised the knight's playing B4. Queen D5. C4. Don't know if that's any good. Harassing the queen. Would I then be able to pick up E4? I'm not really... Okay, let's keep thinking about this and not be too concerned about ratings. If I castle queenside, that seems to be a good move here. Just casting queenside. So protecting E4. If I can get an E5, maybe knight F5, knight C4, I'll have a bit of a bind on that D6 square. So yeah, maybe this E5 is not bad. Just to try and bind on D6. Because if the knight doesn't seem that harmful on F5, because D4's protected, if I can exchange off rooks, I mean this rook's ready to sort of come in anyway. So knight C4 here. Okay, I've got an advantage on the clock. That's good news. But where's the queen going? If Queen A6, maybe A4. Knight moves back. Knight D6. It seems a very promising position. Bishop D6, Queen A6. B8 takes, so I'll be doubling the pawns and stretching this bishop. That seems to be good positionally. Queen A6, A4 seems to be very good positionally. I'm very pleased with this position. I think my opponent's misplayed it, and he's only got a minute and a half. Okay, shall we go for this simplification? I think positionally, it's a good idea to play this line, even though I don't really want the queens to come off. I think just doubling black's pawns, because this bishop is going to be good on c6 later. So I'll take this opportunity to double the pawns. Except I've just realised that knight takes a6, ouch. But at least, again, I'm increasing the scope of that bishop. Alright, so I've got a big time advantage now. I wonder if I'll have a bit of luck here or not. Okay, rook d2 to protect c2. I have to be careful about knight d5 and black trying to win that pawn. If c4, then knight a2 is horrible. So this bishop on g6 is quite kind of annoying. So I'm trying to evict this knight. Bishop a3 maybe. Knight d5 then c4. Bishop c3, knight d5. I think bishop a3. So at least I'm protecting that d6 for a bit longer. So now maybe king b2. But then knight f4, bishop f1. I'm not really sure what's going on here. It's good black hasn't got a dark square bishop. Okay. So I'm holding on to that d6 at the moment. Maybe bishop c4 here. Is my opponent's position springing to life, or is it too late? They've got a big time disadvantage. Do I mind the double pawns? I probably don't actually, because I just want to stop black using that d5 square. So if I can get my king to c3, maybe rook b1 and a6. So I'm stopping the use of that d5 square at the moment. Except I've just... Oh no, I've just lost a whole rook. Okay, panic mode. Unless there's a way of saving the rook. Rook d3, nope. Rook h3, nope. Doesn't look like it. So I'm going to have to pick up 2 pawns, I think. Try and pick up 2 pawns. Is f3 worth playing, or just try and pick up another pawn? At least I'm attacking the rook on d7. Maybe d7 check is strong here. With the idea of bishop d6. This looks actually quite kind of dangerous for black. Bishop d6 would be mate. So king b8, bishop d6, and I can at least pick up the exchange with bishop c7. So maybe this is not all bad, even though I've just lost that rook. So I'll win the exchange at least. Now, what about just knight f7? Doesn't that win more material if the rook moves d8? Queen. Okay. So do I want to play rook takes or knight takes? Yeah, I think the ending's probably okay for me, because knight e6, for example, was a threat. Knight e6. There's no checks. My king's not on a light square. Okay. Now knight g7, f4, and f5 would drag this past pawn, maybe. But what about just getting the king in the centre? I'm not really sure actually. Okay, king c3. Right, I'll put some pressure on that g6, and I'll try and play c3 and king e3 now. If I can play c3 and king e3. Okay, knight to back to d4. I've just won on time. Okay, very strong opponent there. 2-3-4-2. Untitled. I don't know why on this auto pairing. It's an incredibly high rating. So basically try to get them out of opening theory with b3, and that avoids any sort of comfort and plans which they could have ready made. So I think this was an interesting move a4 here, even though it wasn't doubling the pawns. At least it extended the scope of this bishop. So here it's a bit tricky though. Got to be careful about these knight a2s and protecting c2. So so now, yeah, that dark squared bishop. Unfortunately, I did lose a rook, but there's a little bit of compensation. I completely missed this possibility. This bishop e4. So just 2 pawns, but it didn't seem that easy after this d7. So winning one exchange, then knight f7, winning piece back, material back. And this ending, 3, 4, 5, 6, 3, 4, 5, pawn up. I think it's difficult. especially with the time constraint. So yeah, an interesting game there. Hope you enjoyed that. Please leave any comments or questions on YouTube. Thanks very much.